A two-story tavern sits on the corner of a crossroads. The snow around the
Minstrel? Finally!
As much as I hate agreeing with you, I too can hardly wait.
You enter the tavern with Bavragor, but when you take a closer look, you spot a couple of paintings of minstrels in front of a castle. A small stage that there are not very many guests on the ground floor, perhaps a dozen, and most of them belong to a group of mercenaries who have retreated into the far corner. You go to the bar where the landlady is working and sit on a stool. The landlady, a stout, middle-aged...
Say, why is the...
Oh, you don't know the legend, dwarf.
One of the guests next to you at the bar takes up your question.
There was a castle here. Once upon a time, a king lived in that castle. He had many subjects and an enchanting queen. But one day a young man... So the king sent for the singer to hear for himself. He came and sang a wonderful love song. Without flinching, he drew his sword and struck the boy down. His father heard of this. He was himself a...
And that's what happened. No one remembers the name of the king or his castle. Make of it what you will.
You know.
Good day, Jim.
Get lost, Gran. Be quiet! The good dwarf may want to make use of our services, if you stop insulting him.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Gurnham. I am Tungdil Goldhand. I actually do wish to
The leader of the mercenaries looks at you, trying to size you up.
You and your companions look as though you...
Otherwise, we wouldn't ask for your help.
Why not? 500 gold coins.
You go back to the mercenaries. They look up briefly before turning back to their drink. You send Namora to try and haggle down the price of the
Hey guys, we need your help with a couple of orcs. Name your price.
The men look up.
We wouldn't take money from someone like you, sweetheart. I'm sure you can show your appreciation in other ways.
Namora...
All right then, I'll find some.
Wait, stay here, darling.
The young mercenary jumps up and tries to hold Namora back by the arm, but she sidesteps quickly, and he grasps at thin air.
Oh, come on, boys. Don't you know how to treat a lady?
The leader of the mercenaries smiles at... You ask...
Huh? What do you want?
Without even waiting for Adario to introduce...
Well,
A play?
indeed, your legend will live forever.
And you're saying that wouldn't happen anyway?
While Adario is still looking for a suitable answer, you nod at the mercenaries before you... Bavragor and Boindil... As on the previous evening, Bavragor sits apart from the others. But tonight,
She followed Boindle into battle. We tried to talk her out of it, but
Bavragor drinks from his liquor.
he killed her. Blinded by the frenzy of battle, he thought she was one of the enemy. We can...
You remain sitting in silence, each of you deep in thought. Boendal approaches, having either heard you or guessing what you were talking about.
His fierce... Sometimes he calls her name in his dreams. Oh, he'd never admit it, but he suffers.
You discover some ancient ruins and an orc camp in a gorge. A small group of Bognalim is moving between tents, piles of rubbish and cages.
They're coming out the holes.
You there, my bag! Over there! Quick!
Grenades! Throw them into the holes. That ought to stop the little beasts.
Well, for?
And again!
quiet.
Your demise was
Welcome to
inevitable.
the future!
At once.
Another victory. Aye.
I need some help. What? Good. On my way.
Again.
At once. On my way.
Glad.
Too many enemies at once.
Another victory.
Good. On my way.
Victory for technology!
Vile creature.
Yes?
Oh. Excellent choice.
I need some
How
help.
many is that now?
Yeah?
Danger! Your comrade is in
Good
danger.
night.
What is it? A victory for technology!
And again.
I'm on it. Well? Target in sight. How many is that now?
Very impressive. Oh, thank you. Have you seen Hell?
Hello? I am...
Have you seen her?
No.
Call me Ensign and drop the plane.
If I may,
Helga?
I don't know. I just wanted to know...
Helga is my wife. Didn't I mention that? We came here together, but then the orcs came.
You have a dark notion of what might have happened to Helga, but as you...
I wanted to thank you.
Grenades? Oh, yeah, no problem. I used them to break up boulders, and as if that weren't bad enough, along came the orcs and took me ox.
What brings you to these parts, Ensign?
Aren't you here for the festival? The unbelievable Wackens. The blind guardian, the statue over there, is the key. It calls people from far and wide to the festival. I finally found some information in the archive.
Do you know anything about a...
Secret passage? No, can't say I do. But they say...
So what have you found?
You see that statue? That's the blind guardian. You could call him the... According to my research, we need 3 things to start the festival. A burning...
It should be easy to find an ox's skull. All we have to do is find a butcher.
Oh, it can't just be any old ox skull. It needs special decorations and engravings. Took me weeks to...
Is it this one here?
Stone that crows you.
And what do we do?
Oh, well, that's simple. The ox skull must be set on fire.
You're not sure what...
Where will we find the...
Valenciensis. I'll track you down to a collector who lives outside the city in an estate on the south wall. The tower caught fire. The bell fell down and smothered the source of the fire. Now, I'm sure you can work out the rest.
Valenciensis. So what do we...
It would...
Vervain. Doesn't that grow in Ergon?
Ha! Don't worry. I have a...
You lost it.
Well, lost. I mean, you know...
To begin the festival, we need the ox...
Exactly. Then we need to set the skull on fire.
You're quite sure you're wasting your time. A huge festival in the middle of nowhere? But you pin your hopes.
See you later.
Let me know.
You arrive at an empty jetty on Lake Anteria. You can see. You turn around. The size of the fields and the farmsteads grow as you get closer to Valenciensis, the old border city in the north. The old city wall.
The house that Henson was talking about must be somewhere on the south wall. We need the bear.
You try to gain access to the city, but the guards on the wall are unyielding. The orc armies in the south. You try not to show your disappointment, but Boindil looks at you curiously.
There are also books by dwarves and about dwarves in that archive. They've practically got everything that has ever been written. They've even got
A book about dwarves?
You follow the street to an estate on the south wall, which is surrounded by a fence. The man gives you a fleeting glance.
We don't want to buy.
You put your foot in the crack of the door.
Wait, you have a...
The man pauses.
Fire eater? How?
Before he can finish what he's saying, a red-haired woman pushes past him. She scrutinizes you with greenish-blue eyes.
In the city! But the city whose gates are closed to everyone. Of course, I believe that.
You go back to the rest of the group.
Doesn't look like it went too well.
Rodario follows the hydrangea-lined path to the door in elegant strides. He knocks on the door energetically.
What can I do for you? Are you a singer?
The name is Rodario Fairmaid, gifted showman. Your wonderful rose bushes really caught my attention. You have exquisite taste.
The woman's greenish-blue eyes
They're hydrangeas.
The woman turns around.
I will never be able to forget your greenish...
It would seem to me you have a skill.
Anyone who does not notice your beauty must be...
Oh, Mr. Rodario.
Rodario lays an experienced hand around the woman's waist, and after an hour, Rodario comes out of the house with a broad grin on his face and the bell in a bag.
The bell, as ordered. Apart from the esteemed
All right.
You feel your cheeks turning red. In the middle of the path in front of you, you see an upended wagon, but neither draft animals nor owner are in sight. Before you can finish what you're saying, Without giving it much thought, you rush off towards the screaming. After a short sprint through the forest, you arrive at The two men turn around immediately. The woman stands up too, and draws a weapon herself.
Hey! Give us your...
We are seasoned dwarves and have killed hundreds.
Your words seem to have completely floored the thieves. The woman answers for them.
You don't scare.
You give Rodario a sign. He nods, gets into position, and then fires off a jet of flame from his sleeve in the direction. Namora follows the thieves while you wait in the clearing.
Namora!
Fergus jumps up.
Were you able to find out anything?
They didn't detect me and led me straight to their hideout.
You can make out a cave in the bank of a dried-out riverbed, with several small men and women jump as they notice you. There is terror written in their emaciated faces. When a little girl screams and runs...
Who are you?
The man resembles Tavia. His face too tells of a struggle between...
I am Gerald, Tavia's brother. I led these people here from Tabayin.
You look around you.
Your people had no chance of throwing us off. As soon as Namora was on there...
What about
Tavia was caught and is locked up in...
She can be glad they didn't just hang her from the nearest tree. I did warn her.
Tabayin is a fertile country in the north, but much more importantly these days, Gerald's expression changes. It's as if he's looking through you.
The perished land, they no longer recognize you. Brothers, mothers, children.
You cannot bring yourself to quash the last...
Tavia...
Our gold was gone and our supplies were dwindling, despite being on half rations. I said we should just take what we need if no one is going to help us, but my sister she took the wedding jewelry from our village, the most valuable thing we had with us, and sold it without my knowing. I was completely beside myself when I heard about it, but then they came back with food and grain, and I thought they had
What's wrong?
We thought we finally had a change of luck for the better. We were praying for a new start, but then we all got together and discussed what was to be done. The majority was in favour of going to Seaton, and it was clear to me that she had returned to Seaton. We were going to give her a couple of...
The supplies and...
Gerald glances at your companions.
The grain is mainly useless. There's only 4 or 5...
You're in greater need of the grain and the supplies.
Gerald stares at you. Only after a few seconds does he finally close his mouth.
How could we ever justify letting people on the run?
You see tired but happy faces all around you. The people breathe a...
We don't have much to offer you, but we can muster together a few strong arms for battle, and we have some outs...
We wouldn't ask if it wasn't important, but we need your...
Gerald nods.
We're in your debt. We'll send our 5 best...
So long, my friend.
You enter Seaton. The priest is lost in thought.
We have found the
Really? That's welcome news.
We spoke to the people there.
And?
The priest gives you the same.
They say they paid Morris to sell supplies and grain to them.
The priest wants to object.
He ripped them off.
The cogs are turning inside the priest's head. His expression...
The supplies and the grain, you won't...
The priest eyes you in silence, and you look back without batting an eyelid.
I am not sure whether...
Your path leads you once again. You enter... You go... You know. You go...
Here is your payment. 250.
We will seize the orc camp with you, and then perhaps celebrate a bit?
He grins over... You arrive at an empty jetty on Lake...
Hey there.
When the boat has almost reached you, the...
Not at the...
Oh, well, no skin off my...
The old ruins of Wackenstein appear before.
Ah, that must be Henson's bag of herbs. Henson, do you have a minute?
Have you found...
To begin...
Exactly. Then we need to set the skull on fire.
You're quite sure you're wasting your time.
To begin the...
Exactly.
You're...
To begin the festival, we need the ox skull, the fire eater bell, and the vervain, right?
Exactly. Then we need to set the skull on fire.
You're quite sure...
See you later.
Let me know.
Something... If I've understood correctly, the ox skull... All right. Henson,
Have you found it?
see you.
Let me know.
A bracket on which you can hang something. Fits like a glove.
Loud and powerful music follows the fog and the figures, crushing over your head in roaring waves. The force of the music clouds your senses. You want to draw your companion's attention to it, but then you suddenly realize that you have a tankard of ale in your hand. You instinctively try. The night becomes a colorful whirl of ale, music, dance, and ecstasy. You can no longer remember why you're here or who you're celebrating with. For a few, you wake up the next morning. You're lying on your back and stare. You stand up, muttering curses, and try to suppress the taste in your mouth and the pain in your head. To your great surprise,